Hi guys, this is editorial analysis for 26th and 27th November 2016. Let's go to the first one. This is from the Indian Express. It talks about the findings of a survey conducted by an NGO called Action Aid. It is regarding the violence against women. So they have conducted this survey in many other countries, but we'll just cover some of the findings regarding India so that we can use those statistics if we have to use it in our mains answer. It found out that 6% of women have experienced harassment under the age of 10. 73% have experienced some form of harassment in the last 1 month itself, and more than 41% have faced harassment or violence before the age of 19 years. So, the author says that violence against women is just not that physical violence. It could take many other forms, and I'm just going to read out some of the ways in which violence against women is done, so that we get these words in our head. For example, gender discrimination, physical, sexual, emotional, economic violence, preference for a son, unequal resource distribution, unequal decision making power, caste discrimination, communal violence, neoliberal economic policies. So, these are some of the ways that perpetuate violence against women. Let's move on to the second editorial. This is from the Hindustan Times. It talks about some concerns in our defense policy. Firstly, the author says that China's CPEC, China Pakistan Economic Corridor, it extends its influence till Maldives, while we are still struggling to connect our northeast with Myanmar. Secondly, the Chabahar port, rail, roads, all these things that have been agreed for, they still remain unimplemented. Thirdly, US is trying to influence our foreign policy in return for their support to us for NSG, entry nuclear suppliers group. Fourthly, foreign reactors are being bought instead of modernizing our own Indian nuclear weapon design. The construction of the second Dhruv reactor is progressing at snail's speed. So we need to develop our own capacity and not depend too much on defense imports. Let's move on to the third editorial. This is from Hindu. It says that Rohingyas, who are Muslims in Myanmar, okay, so they are being killed by the state, okay, and they live in a place called Rakhine in Myanmar, and they are being accused of being Islamic fundamentalists in a Buddhist majority state, that is Myanmar. And people in Myanmar, they believe these Rohingyas to be Bangladeshis, even though Rohingyas have been living there for generations. So uh, and Myanmar is not doing anything against this human rights violation. Suki is completely silent on this stuff. So that is one case of human rights violations happening right in our neighborhood, and nobody is talking about it. Let's move on to the fourth editorial. This talks about the recent UNICEF report. It says that India accounts for 26% of the infant deaths of the world. 7 lakh kids per 1 million died within 28 days of their birth in South Asia in 2015, and amongst all these countries only Pakistan and Afghanistan are worse than India. Rest all the countries in South Asia are better than us. So the author suggests that we have to do something about it. For example, we have to ensure there is complete immunization of the newborn. We have to beef up our public health care system. We have to use Panchayati Raj institutions to spread awareness about basic hygiene, and the rural health workers do not even have basic medicines and kits with them. So we have to ensure that they have access to these medicines and kits so that they can provide services on time. Let's move on to the next editorial, the fifth one. This is from the Hindu newspaper. It talks about the state of refugees in India. It has been written by Varun Firoz Gandhi. We'll discuss this article in 4 points. All right. First point. In 1962, Pakistan built Kaptai Dam. So it was when the present Bangladesh was also uh, Pakistan. So in 1962, they built Kaptai Dam, and what it did was that it replaced about 40,000 Chakma people from Bangladesh. They lost their homes and they settled in Arunachal Pradesh as refugees. Later, they spread out the northeastern India, spread out over the northeastern India. They had to face the Assam riots. They face harassment on daily basis. In 2015, the Supreme Court asked the government to complete their citizenship process. Whoever is eligible according to the rules, the Supreme Court asked that their citizenship process should be completed as soon as possible. Secondly, the Rohingyas, the one we just talked about, they live in Kalindi Kunj, JJ Colony, Shaheen Bagh in India. In I think these colonies are in Delhi, I'm supposing. Uh, they live under abysmal conditions. They practice open defecation. There are no schools, and they live in huts with plastic tarps stretched on the top. So these Rohingyas are also living in very bad conditions. Third point, and we also have refugees from other countries like Tibet, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. And all of them live under abysmal conditions. Fourth point, we have not signed the 1951 UN Refugee Convention and the 1967 Protocol. We don't have any asylum policy. Now, Varun Firoz Gandhi says that these refugees, they should be given a formal recognition through an ID card and travel documents, and they should be able to apply for residence anywhere in the country. They should have access to basic services like education, healthcare services, employment as well. The Supreme Court has said that Article 14 and Article 21, it extends to the refugees as well. Now, in our country, we have the Foreigners Act 1946 and the Registration of Foreigners Act 1939 for their entry and exit into the country. But these acts, they don't provide any special consideration for special circumstances of the refugees. So Varun Firoz Gandhi, he suggests that there should be outreach and community sensitization programs. They should also be undertaken to let people know that refugees are living in a very bad condition. So that's on refugees. Let's move on to the next editorial, sixth one. This is from the Hindu newspaper. It says that Supreme Court has asked the government to appoint the Lokpal. The author says that it's high time that we appoint the Lokpal because the act has already been passed. But there are a couple of problems why this hasn't been done yet. There are two reasons why the Lokpal has not been appointed. The first reason is that the amendment to include the leader of the opposition party to be the member of the selection committee, that amendment that was later made in the act, it has not really been passed. It has not been passed yet. This selection committee now includes the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, Lok Sabha Speaker, Chief Justice of India, and one eminent jurist. The second reason is that there is no Leader of Opposition in the Parliament currently. You know, to be the Leader of the Opposition in the Parliament, you have to have at least 55 seats. Congress does not have that much. So that's why there is no Leader of Opposition currently. We don't have one. So that is the reason why Lokpal has not been appointed. Supreme Court has asked the government to appoint one as soon as possible. So that's the editorials for these 2 days, 26th and 27th November 2016. Thank you.